Quantum physics tells us that everything is energy. We are actually just tiny, tiny particles of physical matter held together by vast amounts of space, vibrating at a particular frequency that everything just works. Those vibrations can fluctuate. That's the whole intention between the phrase keeping your vibes high. We want to vibrate at a frequency that encourages growth, communication, expansion, but sometimes we get into these spaces where things feel dense, they feel heavy. And this is why cleansing is such a cornerstone of so many spiritual practices, including witchcraft. You are energy. You are vibrating at a particular resonance that holds you together, just teeny tiny parts of physical matter vibrating in vast amounts of space. When you are vibing high, you have openness to communication, to love, to expansion. But as happens, you get low, you get heavy, you get dense. Enter cleansing. Cleansing is a practice that will help you move out of those spaces, that can help you get rid of the denser negative energies or even just energies that aren't yours that you don't want to keep around for whatever reason. Hello lovelies, welcome back to Squeaky's Cauldron, or welcome if this is your first time here. I'm your resident witch, Sarah Evergreen. Thank you for taking a little bit of time to come and hang out with me in my weird corner of the internet. So today we're going to be talking all about cleansing. First of all, what is cleansing? It's the process of getting rid of energy that doesn't belong to you. This can be negative energy, definitely, but also this can be just energy that's not yours. It's not your signature, and carrying around someone else's energy can make you feel a little bit off. It can make you a little bit fuzzy in the head, and it can lead to sickness because the resonances are out of place. Also, we can use cleansing to get rid of heavier, denser energy that is ours by intentionally removing it from our space, from our bodies, and from our tools. Before we go any further, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, white sage and Palo Santo. There is a lot of talk about closed practices, what we are and aren't allowed to work with, and I think that it is important to be knowledgeable about these things and to take them into consideration, but I am not a person who's going to say you can't do X, Y, or Z because some other group uses them. Neither of these plants are at the moment endangered, but there is concern that overuse and popularization of these could lead to them being endangered. If you do choose to use these, and I'll give you some very good reasons why not to, coming up in just a second, do your research and source them from somewhere that gets them in an ethical way. Look for someone who is sourcing from indigenous people specifically. I think with Palo Santo it's fairly easy at this point. With white sage it might be a little bit harder, but do your due diligence, don't be an asshole. With that in mind, the first cleansing technique that I want to talk about is smoke cleansing, which is how you would, generally speaking, use white sage or Palo Santo. However, white sage and Palo Santo are local to specific areas of the world. And one of the most powerful things that a witch can do is to source local. So if you don't live in South America, for example, utilizing Palo Santo is kind of shooting yourself in the foot, in my opinion, when you absolutely will have access to something that is more local to where you are, and that will allow you to connect more to the land, to the spirits that are just there already and willing to work with you and wanting to work with you, the energy that is already flowing in place. It's like working with astrology. You can do things when they are out of alignment with what the stars are saying, 100%, absolutely, and it can be very helpful to work with the stars, to work with the energy that is already flowing in a particular direction. Smoke cleansing is good for moving energy, for clearing things out, for getting into nooks and crannies, However, it can be aggravating to people who are sensitive to smells, and if you live in an apartment or a shared space, you might not be able to use this at all, which is why I have many other alternatives coming right up. With smoke cleansing, what you'll want to look for is things that you can source yourself. Things like pine or any kind of evergreen, really. Rosemary is a good one. Mugwort grows in a lot of North America and many places in Europe. Do a little bit of research on Google and see what just naturally grows. Huge bonus point on this, you won't have to go and spend $5 or $10 on a bundle of sage at your local metaphysical shop. You can source your own materials, and that too will give you an extra connection to what you're working with. If you're interested in a little craft video about how to bundle native plants into something that you can easily use to cleanse your space and your tools and your body, just let me know in the comments below, and yeah, maybe I'll end up making it. A few tips when using smoke. If you're cleansing your space, make sure to get into the corners. That's where a lot of heavy energy tends to accumulate. If you're cleansing your body, make sure you do your palms and the soles of your feet. A lot of our energy gets picked up and pushed out from these places. They're huge portals here. And then if you're cleansing your tools, just make sure to get every surface a nice thorough cleansing. If you don't want to use smoke cleansing, what are some alternatives? Sound cleansing is one of my favorites. This is exactly what it sounds like. You make noise. You can do this with clapping. You can use a bell, which is my preferred method, but you don't always have access to a bell. You will always have access to your hands and your voice, theoretically, hopefully. And you can use like a pot and a ladle, like anything that makes noise. Again, this might not be your best option if you live with people. But if you have the ability to utilize sound cleansing, it's super accessible, it's free, and it's super clean. It's not going to leave any residues or smells or dirt on the floor or anything like that behind. Also, when you're doing sound cleansing, or really any other kind of cleansing, it can be helpful to speak directly to the energy that you are trying to move. Like, heavy energy, get out of my house. Or if you're working with a spirit that you're trying to move out, speaking directly to the spirit, you're not welcome here, you have to leave. Some tips for using sound cleansing. With your space, again, focus on the corners, really break up that energy. Imagine the sound waves coming out, and that is what's breaking up the denser, heavier energy and kind of dispersing it. If you are sound cleansing on yourself, focus on the chakras. That's going to be a good way to like get those moving and get those cleared out. And if you are working with your tools, position them so the sound waves go all the way through whatever you are cleansing. Smoke and sound not really your thing? Let's try water. Water, obviously very cleansing in and of itself. That's one of its key attributes. There are many ways that you can use water in cleansing. Can use them in floor washes or wall washes or windows or mirrors, in room sprays, so just spritzing. This kind of works kind of along the same lines as smoke cleansing does. Or you can use them in cleansing baths, ritual baths, in order to get yourself prepared for doing a particular working or spell or a devotional practice. Water is also very versatile. You can add whatever oils that you want to work with that may like provide some oomph. Rosemary, pine, any of the material that you would use for smoke cleansing can often be found in an essential oil, and that can be great to add to water. Also, you can charge water with the sun or with the moon and with different phases of the moon. So you can really tailor make a floor wash or something to add to your bath, or even water that you make tea with. However, one drawback to using water is that it really can't be used for everything. Certain stones, when you put them in water, they just kind of fall apart. Also, it can be more difficult to cleanse your tarot cards with water. I have utilized water in a very broad stroke kind of cleansing ritual for my tarot cards, but it's more difficult and you do run the risk of damaging your cards. Some tips for using water when cleansing. For your space, rosemary is a really great, very easily accessible herb or essential oil that you can add to floor washes and window washes. I would highly recommend it. You can either, like I said, use the essential oil or just get some of the plant itself, throw it in some water for a while, and let that kind of infuse into the water. Orange peels are also great for this, for not so much cleansing, but for drawing in positive energy. When you're cleansing your body, obviously ritual baths, or even just standing in the shower and envisioning the water kind of cleansing and getting rid of all of whatever energy that you don't want to hold on to anymore and seeing it go down the drain. Goodbye. And then when you're cleansing your tools, of course, like I mentioned, research your crystals first. One way to cleanse your tools with water is to just get a little bit on a piece of cloth and use that to just kind of anoint whatever you're using. Real quick, if you are enjoying these episodes, please drop a like below and comment on this video. I love to hear from you, and it really helps out the channel and it really helps me out getting these messages to more eyes and ears across the world. Also, if you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This channel is for seekers, and if you're here watching this video, that's you. So be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you. This next one may be a little bit unorthodox, and that is just cleaning and organization. It's unorthodox in that it's not, I think, what people tend to think of when they think of cleansing practices. But when you think of cleaning, when you think of getting rid of stuff that's holding you back, like dirt or stuff that no longer serves the household that you live in, this is exactly what you go to: cleaning and organization. And you can utilize this with your space, obviously, but also with your body and with your tools. This particular approach is also great to use in conjunction with floor washes and window washes. They clearly go hand in hand. If your space is feeling heavy, clean it. Organize something. Or, and I love this one's my favorite, and I live out of a suitcase and a backpack, so you can obviously see why. Get rid of stuff. Yeah, we have too much stuff. I have too much stuff, and like I said, I live out of a backpack and a suitcase, and I still have too much fucking stuff. Get rid of stuff. You don't need it. You really don't. You're gonna be fine without it, I promise. Don't get rid of everything, obviously, but like, I guarantee you, if you go through your living space right now, you're gonna find at least 5 items that, nah, you don't need. They do not spark joy. They are not useful. Get rid of them. It will help lighten the space immediately. And then the cleaning, getting rid of dust, cleaning your altar, this kind of thing, organizing your tools, all of that can be very helpful. When it comes to your body, cleaning and organizing your body, there's the baths, of course, with the water, and there's getting your, like food. Food can be part of this. Getting your mind organized, whether that's like going ahead to pay the bills that have been sitting on the table for a week, or, just getting these things that are taking up extra space in your brain that don't need to be, getting them done, getting them off the table, getting them out the door. And then with your tools, this one is particularly useful for tarot cards. I will relatively frequently take my deck and just completely organize it, get all the major arcana in order, get all the suits in order, and that can help just like get rid of all the stuff that it's accumulated. If you're interested in learning more about spiritual practices that you can bring into your everyday life, how to get yourself moving forward again, or maybe going deeper with Lilith or Hecate, do check out my coaching offers in the show notes and schedule a discovery call today. I'd love to hear from you. And then there's Moonlight and Sunlight, another one that's easily accessible, very straightforward, free to use, relatively passive, so you don't have to sit with the thing in order to cleanse it. It is something that you have to be more aware of, particularly the moon phases. If you are looking to cleanse something, generally speaking, a full moon is going to work better for you than a dark moon. But if you want to leave your tools out in the dark moon, they're going to take on that kind of energy, which is my favorite phase of the moon, so I'm 100% not knocking that. Just be aware of what time of the month it is when you are wanting to do this with the moon. With the sun, it's a different story. The sun is a very powerful cleansing tool. You do not need to leave your things in the sun for very long, particularly mirrors. Mirrors, it's just going to like blast cleanse it very quickly. And that's what the sun is going to do, just in general. It's going to very thoroughly and quickly cleanse whatever it is that you're using. So if you're cleansing your space, open the curtains wide, open the windows if weather permits, get as much of the sun in there as possible. If you're cleansing your body, get as much sun on your skin as possible. Do be aware of the dangers of sun exposure. Like, don't go out and sit in the sun for 6 hours without sunscreen, ideally. And then if you're using your tools, again, it doesn't take very long. Just put them in the sunshine for a little while. If you're using the moon for your tools, make sure that you put them outside after sunset and take them back inside before sunrise, or you'll kind of mix the two energies. And lastly, pro tip, you don't need any of those. You really don't. They can be really nice to utilize the energies around you, to work with something that focuses your energy. But if you sit down with a tool in your hand and envision cleansing light coming through you and then out of your hand into the tool, that will cleanse your tool. If you do the same with your body, envisioning the white light with your body, with your room, with your space, whatever, that's going to be fine. You are the magician. You are the conduit. Everything else is just window dressing. And window dressing can be really nice. Sometimes we really want the window dressing, but we don't need it. What is your favorite cleansing method? And did I miss one? Let me know. Cleansing is an important part of spiritual hygiene and is a great thing to do before performing any kind of spell, like this knot spell right here. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and as always, use your voice.